we go. Okay. All right. I want to welcome all of you to our PolarTREC webinar for our Antarctica group, where this webinar is about getting ready for your upcoming field expeditions and talking about education outreach activities and how to get people to follow along while you're out there in the field, and hear some words of wisdom and sage advice and all that good stuff from our alumni that are with us today. And just to give you an idea of who's with us before we go into the platform, on the computer world, we have Alex Eilers, who is an alumni with PolarTREC. We have Dominique Richardson, who will be going out sometime later this year, much later. We have Jillian, who's on the phone, and it looks like on the computer as well, Worssam, and she's leaving in, goodness, days. On the 18th of September, so she's going to get the crash course today. We have Lucy Coleman, who's leaving soon after Jillian in early October. We have alumni Michelle Brown, who is joining us today, and we have Yamini Bala, who's going out in, well, I think it's November sometime this year. Her project got delayed a year. Also, we have joining us, we have John Wood, an alumni who's been to both polar regions. He's by phone today. We have Elaine Hood, who's the U.S. Antarctic program point of contact for PolarTREC, and Sarah and myself. Did I miss anything? Or anybody? Okay. All right, speak up if I miss you, because you guys are all joining in a couple different ways. So Sarah pushed out a slide of the 2014-2015 PolarTREC team, and this is our group way back when, not quite a year ago, but it seems like that. They're in Fairbanks, Alaska for our orientation, and what a good crew it is. So we're really excited to be working with the Antarctica people here today. Our agenda, so just a real quick introduction, welcome, and a roll call, which I kind of did. We'll go over the webinar goals, some reminders about logistics and program requirements. Then we'll talk a little bit about putting the education outreach plan to work, and then we'll go into questions and answers. And Sarah and I have a couple of different people that we want to ping for some information about different things that have been left outstanding. So we'll talk to you at the end of that. Sarah can, at some point when we get to the end, we'll tell you who those people are. So the goals of the webinar are to help you focus on what is coming up with your expedition and logistics. We've done a lot of pre-field calls with the Antarctica people, and Elaine did a great job at meeting one-on-one with everybody, I think, right, Elaine? You've met with everybody? Okay.
Sorry about that. Yes, I think
yeah, so that's okay. I know it takes a while to unmute yourself if you're on the phone. So she's met with everybody. So I think we're pretty good on logistics, so this will go pretty fast. It's mostly just to kind of get everybody on the same page again, and then we'll talk about how you are engaging the various publics before and during your expedition. So those are kind of what our goals are. A timeline that we've got, this is, again, a reminder, this all is everywhere on the website, in the notebook and everything, but this is just a timeline of our activities for this year, and we're already into September. And you can see that we have a little star there talking about pre-field logistics calls, and actually, like I said, we've already done a couple of them. We were supposed to have this webinar earlier in the summer, but it just, well, it's happening now, and that's just the way it is. But soon Antarctic expeditions should be going out. One thing, and I don't know if it's in the slide coming up, but one of the major activities that needs to be going on right now for everybody, that whether you just got back from the Arctic or you're heading out in several months or a couple of weeks or whatever is you should be giving, you should be giving your students their pre-survey test. So if you're leaving like Jillian in the next couple of weeks, make sure you've got some computer time where your students can do that pre-survey test before you head out. And same with everybody that just started school or starting school. That's an important thing. Yep. Yeah, and as Sarah pointed out, the bottom, the evaluation activities are pulled out on this timeline, but that's what's going on right now as far as evaluation is the pre-survey for your students. Everybody should be doing that as soon as school starts. All right, just a reminder about who it does what. Lockheed Martin, who Elaine works with, is a contractor there, and she can, tell you more about her role, but you've heard it, I think, in a number of ways. But basically, she's already done these webinars with you, had one-on-one conversations, and their job is to get you to and from Antarctica and work with you while you're out in the field and support your science team in a whole different variety of ways, everything from providing gear and arranging all the travel and helping you get the food, all that kind of good stuff. So they're the logistics provider for your expedition. Our role at ARCUS is simply to reimburse you for things that don't get paid for and to help you, kind of go through the process of getting to the field. So as far as funding goes, if you need a travel advance for travel, we can get that to you. That would come from ARCUS, not Lockheed Martin or the U.S. Antarctica program. ARCUS reimburses your school for the substitute, and Lucy, I have you on my list. Her school needs a letter. So if your school needs a letter that they're going to get reimbursed, send me an email. We'll reimburse you for any medical expenses that aren't covered by your insurance, any evacuation insurance, per diem, and your lodging in Christchurch. The U.S. Antarctica program will arrange for your lodging, or in the case of Jillian in Chile, we'll arrange for her lodging, but it will be, ARCUS will reimburse her for it. They won't pay for it. So that's kind of a big distinction. Researchers, we don't do anything with the researchers as far as their logistics or paying for any of their costs. That's all covered under their research grants. And then your job, again, is to make sure that all your paperwork and your PQ stuff is in place and that it's all completed and sent off, and stay on top of that. And we do have a few questions for some of you about that, where you are in that process, but we'll get to that. Anything else, Sarah, before I move on?
No, I think that's fine.
Okay. All right, and here's a reminder that all this great information and even more detail that we won't go into today, or even in your pre-field calls, will be found in the U.S. Antarctica Program Participants Guide. It's very thorough. Has all sorts of stuff in there, and make sure you read that document. A few things about pre-field reminders. Again, travel arrangements will be made through, we'll discuss this actually usually on your pre-field call if it hasn't already happened through email. And you should, if you've gotten PQ'd and you're getting close to going out in the field, you'll get travel papers and stuff. And I know Elaine has gone over this with all of you, but if you're going to have personal time associated with that travel or with that expedition, you need to make all of us aware of that, Elaine and Johannah and Sarah, so that we just know what's going on, and they can and also your research team. Again, a reminder about substitute costs. This is just really it's really important for Antarctica expeditions because they're so long and a lot of them go over holidays and things. Just remind your school that it's reimbursable, but they can't get paid until you come back home and we get an invoice. It's not going to be while you're out in the field. And I already mentioned everything else. The last one is that if you want, when we get into education outreach, there are those ECW kits that you can check out from ARCUS. just let us know. There's a form that you can fill out online or send an email to us at PolarTREC about the ECW kids.
Janet?
And I see some, okay, go ahead.
This is Elaine. So about half hour ago, Alex emailed me about ticketing because she's getting close to when she should be flying. And so first of all, I just have to explain that we have transitioned to a new database in the last 6 weeks. And it used to be real easy for me to go in and track people. And up until this week, there was a lot of information I was not able to see. This week, I now see more columns of data than I could for the last month. And when I'm looking at a column called travel paperwork being turned in, that's a different column than your medical PQ, because there's a column that says, you know, medical information received, dental information received, and then the date that you've been PQ'd. That's part of the process to be ready to be ticketed by our travel group. The other column, the travel paperwork received, is documents like your travel agenda, what airport you want to fly out of, if you have frequent flyer membership like on American Airlines, you'd put that information on the travel paperwork. There's another sheet with clothing information. There's a couple sheets that you have to simply sign to acknowledge that you're going to a dangerous place. So that's all travel paperwork that is sent to our Centennial office. And what I'm just seeing now in the last half hour since Alex asked me about her, because she said she sent it in, but this database does not indicate that she has.
Mm.
And the only person that it indicates has is Jillian. So, and she's leaving next week and has been ticketed, so that's that. So I'm just throwing this little piece of information out there that I need to follow up with our travel group to see if maybe they have received it, but it hasn't been migrated into the database yet. So I'm just giving a heads up that that's one of the things I need to do tomorrow.
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah, no, that's important stuff because the first person that comes to mind outside of Jillian is Lucy there. And
right.
I know we
nobody
had
will be
field called about that and
office.
everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know where you are on all that or whether you sent your paperwork in or not, but you need to stay on top of it. Lucy, yeah. So Lucy turned hers in July. So.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm making myself a note.
Yeah, I guess if you're deploying and had sent in paperwork, my guess is probably just Lucy and Jillian at this point, and Alex. I don't know if Brian DuBay has or not, where they are in their work. And Yamini, I don't think you guys have probably done yours yet. Anyway, if you have turned it in, just send us, Sarah and myself, an email, and Elaine, and if you don't have her email address, don't worry about it. Just send it to Sarah and me, and we'll forward it to Elaine as to if you're curious about the status of things that you sent in, whether it be medical stuff or travel stuff, because that's where some of the questions Sarah and I have for some of you is where you are and what paperwork you have or have not filled out. Okay, good. Yeah, we got to stay on top of that stuff, especially if you changed databases. That is crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Sarah. Oh, never mind. Got it going here. All right. So we just touched real quickly on logistics, but I guess before we go into education outreach thing, is there any other logistics questions out there or things that you want us to address right now as a group? Okay. Yep, go ahead, Jillian.
Thanks. Hey, just as an FYI, when I was talking to the travel people, if you ever, and the woman was just wonderful when she was booking my ticket, she said that if you ever change any of your flights prior to going, like you have a change or something, and you change it yourself, then you're out of their realm of responsibility. So that if you change that flight, and let's say the research time changes, or the boat gets in late, or there's a blizzard or something, but you've made a change, now any extra costs or any reticketing is on you. And I didn't know if everybody knew that, but that was something that she had explained to me, so I thought I'd share.
All right, good to know. Yes, please. If you got things that need to be done or changes or whatever, you got to work through the U.S. Antarctica program, and let us all know so that you stay within the system. Whew, that'd be scary. Okay. Anybody else? Questions, comments? Okay. All right, well, let's just move on to education outreach planning. This is just a reminder again that there are some requirements and things that are due before you go out in the field that are related to education outreach planning. And again, these are just documents and pieces of information that we gather from you, not only just for our sake, but also for our funders and also for the research team so they can track what you are doing with this experience. So I think we have another little bit about that in the next slide. But these are all the different pieces. They touch on the public, professional, the people you work with. Some of them are related to what you're doing in the classroom. Other one is related to what you do with the research team, and then also just kind of looking at yourself and how you're going to use this experience. As it's pointed out on the slide, they're in tab 4 of your notebook. All these pieces have, in the notebook and online, have different templates that go with them and examples of what they look like, and they make up your online portfolio that we have for you through the website. Starting with self, there's the needs assessment, and that is due before you go out in the field, so make sure you look at it. It can be a very short bulleted list. It's looking at how you use this experience and what your classroom is like. When you come back from the field, you'll do a reflection essay, and we'll remind you about that when you come back. With the research team, again, this is kind of drafted before you go out in the field, but it's an ongoing document about how the 2 of you or 3 of you or 4 of you, how your team is going to connect. How are you going to get information from them before? What kind of information do you need about the science? Or how do they best communicate? Do they like email? Do they meet once a week? Do they have science meetings? Things like that. And then how do they get together after the field season, and then maybe even how you're going to connect during the field season. So far I've been able to open it on every single and as Sarah mentioned, there are some people who have done all of this and others that have done none. So please go check your status through the website, and you can, when you log on to the website, you can just click on your I think it's your picture, or go to your profile, and there's also a little tab for you at the, I don't know where it's moved to since the new web page, but the bottom maybe. It talks about your requirements checklist, so you can go and check off things and see where you are with all these requirements. And then the classroom implementation, we usually like a draft of that before you leave. What are your ideas of putting this in the classroom? Same with your outreach strategy, both public and with professional colleagues. What is it you want to do with this experience? What are some of your outreach ideas? A new requirement this year, and again, we'll remind you when you come back, but is the public science report, and this is a report that will get shared with the research team as well as put on the website for the public to view, and it's about your experience what did you learn? Why should we send teachers out on these expeditions? Kind of a snapshot of your whole expedition and the purpose. Again, we'll remind you about these pieces in the post field call and along the way through email, but we really appreciate if you take some time and go through your online portfolio and see what you have and have not done. The purpose, again, is that this helps us focus, or helps you focus this experience, and it gives us some ideas of what you're going to do and how you're going to share this with others, especially the research team. This is one of the main questions they have about teachers is like, okay, they went out, what are they going to do with it now? So this is a documentation about how and why you're going to use this experience. And it also provides a way for you to discuss ideas through the research team that might be too busy otherwise to talk to. Although everybody's teams are really good this year, so I don't see this being a big issue. And really importantly, it provides documentation and data for our funders, your school, and then hopefully gives everybody some recognition for their efforts. So the rest of this webinar is mostly to go about putting your education outreach plan to work and things that work. We'll hear, you know, what you're already doing in this area and how you're getting people to follow you, and we'll hear from the alumni about their ideas as well. And this one slide is just called Putting Your Education Outreach Plan to Work, and it's just some real quick bullets about different places and avenues for education outreach activities. I don't think I'm going to go into it too much because you all have already started this process, and like I said, we have alumni to also share with us. Many of you have already been involved in some of the tools that we do to support this, so again, I'm not going to go into this slide too much because we've covered it in other places, except for the one thing I guess I should remind you of, or two things I want to remind you of. The two is travel support. When we were getting on the phone, I was talking to Dominique to ask her what she had done for, you know, if she gotten her travel ticketed. And the reason why I was asking is because she's actually going to go meet with her research team here and alumni Michelle Brown, yay, at her school in the upcoming weeks or sometime here in early fall. So that's pretty exciting, and we really do kind of encourage that. I know Yamini has worked with her team quite a bit. Lucy and is meeting her team, I think, next week, right, Yamini? Lucy has also been connected with her team. So I think everybody that's on the phone today has been doing this and taking advantage of meeting their team before the field season, which is fantastic. That's going to make the collaboration so much easier. And Jillian hasn't met her team in person, but she's been doing a lot of chatting with them and building up that rapport with them, so it's been great. The other one I wanted to share with you is that partner teacher part, and we have the alumni on here, Michelle, Alex, and John, to kind of fulfill that role to help you out. So make sure that you use alumni that have gone to Antarctica to bounce ideas off and to talk with them. Anything else, Sarah, before I go to the next piece?
No, I was just checking to see if there was anything else, but I think that's good, and people are doing pretty well. I just want to reiterate, though, that when we ask for those requirements, it would be great if you put them up. You can, tell us an email that they're coming, but as soon as you get them up on the website, we're able to just kind of track where your progress is, and the website's going to be shifting in a while to sort of showcase some of those pieces and requirements that folks have been working on. So just get those moving. That'd be really helpful to us to keep us informed of how you're using the experience.
All right, cool. Yeah, Yeah, if you have trouble with the requirements or can't find something or aren't really sure who to send them to or whatnot, just inquire and we'll point you in the right direction. All right, so the next little piece is to hear from each of you about your ideas. And I gather, actually, Sarah, I think I'll have you pipe on. You asked everybody to send in a slide, or you put this together a slide?
Right. No, so each of these slides, there's one for each of our teachers that are headed out this year, and it's a chance for folks to share these, you know, an idea for your pre-field or during expedition outreach, something going on in your community, things you've been working on or ideas for success that you want to share with your cohort, and then what's happening after. And I pulled pictures just to give us something to look at. I pulled photos from your recent journals. So that'll kind of give us an idea of what you've been up to and what you not only have been doing, but then have turned around and shared with people. So that'll be really helpful to see what the outreach is on the activities you're doing through the journaling.
Okay. So, yeah, so I can see who's coming up, and the first one is going to be Jillian. And what Sarah's going to do at the same time as you're talking is take some notes, and we're going to share that with the research teams because a lot of them haven't heard all of this stuff. So anyway, we'll get started with Jillian. So you're going to share one activity idea that students are going to be involved in pre and during your expedition, one activity or idea involving your community that's taking place during or before or during your expedition. Tips for success and ideas for post-expedition education outreach. So I can come back to this slide each time if you need to, but I'm going to go to Jillian first, and then if you need me to go back to that slide, Jillian, just let me know, okay?
No worries. So we're ready to go?
We are ready to go.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah, for making my slide. I wish to say that I am the poster child this year for not reading the fine print, and I've learned all sorts of lessons about that, and I would recommend to everybody, do as much as you can before school starts or before you get overwhelmed with everything else. Please make sure your passport does not expire within 6 months of your return date, just as an FYI. Jillian. Okay, so the first one is activities that I'm doing with my students pre and post. One of the things that we're doing is we're going to be doing simultaneous data collection. I'm bringing a set of in-ear probes with me on the vessel. We're having a set of probes set up here in Flagstaff, and we're going to collect the data at the same time, and then we're going to decode the data when I get back. And we're going to look at changes. We're going to be looking at sunlight. We're going to be looking at temperature, all sorts of stuff like that. So we're going to be doing the quintessential styrofoam cup activity, which they're all very excited about as well. Those are the two that we've already got going. For the community, this coming Saturday, I have an event at our local sporting store. Well, I should say I started actually last April. I did an event down in Phoenix in April with Siam, who went to the Arctic, and we did a Antarctic presentation to start it going. And then I've done presentations to classes. I've done presentations to our school science department. I've presentations to our community science board and our community STEM board. And then this Saturday, I'm having a 2-hour community event called Pole to Pole, and myself and Mindy Bell are doing it at our local outfitter store. And they're actually, because I can't afford polarized sunglasses, they're donating to me polarized sunglasses and boots to go. And we have a series of the blubber gloves, we have coloring pages, flags, we have a whole series of different activities from pole to pole for students to become engaged in. I've also got my oceanography club coming as well, so that we're going to have, as part of our pole to pole presentation, a whole group of students just talking about oceans and ocean science. Oh, sorry, I'm tired. What else is, and we have a huge fundraiser tomorrow night. And I've also community outreach. I set myself a little challenge, and I'm kind of bummed that I didn't meet my challenge, but I'm pretty darn close. I'm like 4 shy, but I'm pretty close. All summer, I have been frantically Facebooking, making amazing connections online with people throughout the world in the United States to get school, students, families from every state and country to follow along. And I have all states but 4. So close, but that's okay. And right now the flags are plowing in. I got a flag today from Hawaii. I got a flag today from New Mexico. I got Elizabeth's flag from Florida today. I got a flag here from Washington today. The flags are pouring in, and they've taken over my living room, and that's going to be the next one of the next blogs that I put in. It's really kind of exciting. I don't know about you guys. For me, part of my education and my passion for education is continuity. It's the same thing with my mentor program, which I'll get into in a second. I don't let go. And I have an ex-student who I taught over 10 years ago who emailed me and said she's a homeschool teacher, teaches her children at home, if her children could follow along. So I'm really touched and honored that I have one of my ex-students' children following along, and I got a flag from each one of her boys. So that's been my big push all summer, is to get these flags out so that when school started in the fall for everybody else in September, they could quickly do their flag and get them back to me. As part of my
Jillian,
Dominique and I.
Jillian, this is Sarah. You only have to give one possible idea of what you've been up to. You have been a busy, busy lady, so you don't have to list all the things you've been doing. It's great, but I just don't want to make you feel like you have to list everything you've been doing. I just didn't want to make you feel like you had to say it all.
I'm sorry. I just have one more to share.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
When I was a kid.
No, that's good.
And the last one is, I talked to our local newspaper, and they're going to publish an article that I'm writing before I leave. They're going to publish an article from the field, and then they're going to publish an article when I get back. And they're called basically translating science, decoding science, and taking the language of science and making it, especially polar science, and making it understandable by the general population. So I'm really excited about that. And the only tips to give, and then I'll be quiet, is do as much as you can ahead of time. Because I'm the person that they're going to take to task at the end of the webinar for having done none of my paperwork, and I just bought my dismemberment insurance today, which I hope I got. So as much as you can get done ahead of time before it gets frantic, the better. Okay, I'm sorry, Sarah. Done.
Awesome. No, you did a lot, and it's very cool. Jillian does have lots of great ideas, and unfortunately she's leaving here soon, so don't ping her for any of them until she gets on the ship and comes back. You have to catch up with her later, because she's got to pack somewhere between now and the 18th. Okay, we're going to move on to Dominique, and yes, as Sarah pointed out, just try to do one activity for all of these, because we got a couple of other people we want to hear from the alumni. So, Dominique. Oops, I'm sorry.
All right.
There you go.
I've got a lot of different stuff going on too. It's kind of hard to pick one thing that we're doing, but since I don't really have a specific class, I've been doing a lot of public outreach, like art contests, Ask a Scientist. My main public outreach I've got going on right now is that I've booked several events at my own local aquarium at Cabrillo Marine Aquarium, as well as at the Aquarium of the Pacific, which is just across the harbor, as well as several different schools across the area to go and speak to their classes and do some hands-on science activities with them that will also be turning into a cart that we have at the aquarium. And to reach kind of a wider audience and adults, I've been doing some social media outreach, as well as we've got, I'm working on an article for our aquarium newsletter. And I guess my tip would be to tap into the homeschool families. We have a whole bunch of homeschool families that use local science centers and aquariums as a resource for them, and they are definitely looking for stuff just like what the PolarTREC website offers and what we offer to get science into their homes. Okay, I tried to keep that short.
Wow, yeah, awesome. That's good. I was saying you guys are also creative. For those that can't see the text going on, there's a little bit of chat, but it said that homeschools are, we talked a little bit about homeschools, and they are very excited to have outreach activities happen with them. Our next person was Armando. I don't think Armando came on today, and so I just got his picture up. We hope he joins us again soon. After Armando, we have Lucy.
All right, thanks, Janet. So I've been very busy, and in fact, probably one of my words of wisdom for people is what Jillian said, to start early before you think you need to. I've scheduled a lot of outreach activities in the next 2 weeks, and I kind of wish that I had already done that, but I thought I should schedule them right before I go to build interest and get people following my journals and have it be a little more immediate, but that's a little stressful. But I have some fun things going on with my students and with the outreach programs. I'm going to have my students actually either tomorrow or the next day, they're going to build Winogradsky columns, because my team is looking at microbial communities in Lake Joyce. And Winogradsky column is basically a giant graduated cylinder with mud and muck in it that will eventually settle into layers with different kinds of bacteria in each layer. And my students are going to build those, and then I'm going to take them with me on my outreach activities and leave one at each of the schools that I'm going to. Yeah, I don't know how to spell it right this minute, but let me look that up and get back to you. Anyway, the Winogradsky columns I think should be fun. I've had a lot of luck with homeschools also, and in addition, the libraries in my area have been really helpful. The librarians are rock stars, and they've been advertising a couple of different programs for me for kids that I wouldn't necessarily have ways to reach otherwise. So they've been wonderful, and I recommend checking your local libraries for outreach possibilities. And as far as ideas for post-expedition outreach and education, I've been working with the National Writing Project on this project specifically about science writing and writing arguments in science. So I'm really hoping to find ways to have students be looking at like smaller data sets generated by the research team and analyzing them and using them as a basis for a scientific argument. I'm looking forward to seeing what might be possible with that when we get back.
Great, sounds good.
Okay.
Oh, Janet, you're there?
I am, but you can do the next one because I'm going to go get my... Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
Sounds good. So next we have Yamini, and you could tell us, Yamini, sort of what's been going on with your project for the last sort of year and a half, I suppose, by now.
Okay, well, my project was postponed due to the government shutdown, so we were pushed back by a year. And so I've had it. One thing that's been really great about that is that I've had more time to get to work with my research team. And so I've been able to meet up with them both when they're passing through Chicago and in other places that I go to a few times this summer, and I'm getting ready in a couple weeks to go to the Waste Divide conference in San Diego with both of my researchers, so that's been really great. I also thought that my audience wouldn't have a long enough attention span to follow my expedition for a year and a half while it wasn't happening, so I've been thinking that it would be a better idea to wait until it's a little closer, but now listening to you guys, I think maybe I should just go ahead and get started and not do that so much. So let's see, some of the things that I would recommend that I've been doing that have been kind of fun and successful are that I am fortunate that I live in the same area that I grew up right now. So I've been just walking into my own elementary school, my middle school, and my high school, and like other institutions that I've been a part of while I was growing up here, and just sort of walking in off the street and telling them who I am and what I'm doing, and asking them to connect me to teachers and classrooms and stuff that would be interested in working with me. And that's been kind of fun because I get to talk to kids and they're both interested in the fact that I am like this dinosaur that used to go there once upon a time, but also that I'm going to Antarctica, which they think is really cool. So my recommendation, if you guys haven't already, is to reach out to the schools that you actually went to, because I think most places now have like alumni newsletters and parent mailings and stuff that go out, and they would probably be curious to hear that one of their own is doing some interesting stuff out there. And then as far as reaching out to the community, I've also been in touch with someone at my local library, which has been a great resource. And as far as what we have planned for coming back, we are looking into the possibility of working with an artist who does art that's inspired by the ice cores from Waste Divide, and we want to try to work with art classes here to get students to create art pieces that are inspired by Waste Divide and try to get a gallery show with this artist as well as with the students. And another idea we had for after we get back was to try to get funding to get my researcher out here and do like a mini field expedition with a handful of students where we could go out and maybe do tree core sampling or something that would be kind of related but not exactly, just so that students could get the experience of what it's like to be a field researcher, a field scientist. So that's what we've got going on.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, and Yamini, and I was thinking that, yeah, you should definitely get started on stuff, you know. I know it's been kind of in flux, but you don't want to leave it all too far behind there.
Yeah.
Somebody beeped either on or off. Let me see. Do we still have Elaine? Don? You still there?
Don's here.
Jillian's still here.
How about Alex? Are you there?
Yep. Alex is there. Jillian's here. It might have been Elaine. Yep.
Okay. I just wondered who.
Good.
Right.
And actually, while we're here, Yamini, do you know dates, Yamini, a little bit closer to what's actually happening? Any idea?
Yeah, what I'm hearing right now is December 1st to January 18th. That's the latest that's been going out to in the emails between the implementer and my PIs.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks. I was just curious. And Janet, I'll turn it over to you. You were going to say something?
No, I was just going to turn it over to Alex. I think she was next. So, Alex.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I was unmuted. So, okay, where do I start? I've got a lot of my activities, the pre-activities, the post-activities, and the community activities are kind of combined. So some of them are pretty self-explanatory. We're doing, at the museum, we're doing a scavenger hunt. It's just really simple and easy. We've hidden Weddell seals and emperor penguins throughout the exhibits, and the general public or students can go look for them. There's a little science snippet next to each and a little code they write down, and after they complete it, they come back and get a little trinket at the gift shop. So that's for both people, and that is a pre and during the expedition activity. We're doing flags, like Jillian. We are having, again, either the students or the general public pick a topic that I will be researching. They will draw the topic on the flag. I will take the flag down there, fly it on the ice. They will sponsor that journal, and then we'll fly the flag back to them. I was completely overwhelmed. I didn't think this was going to go over that well, so I bought 100 flags and had to buy 200 more. One school bought 150 themselves. So I was like, wow. And then another kind of pre and post thing we're doing is we're trying something completely different. We're calling it Get Fit Antarctica. And so we've plotted a point from the Pink Palace Museum to the lab at McMurdo Station and found that it is about 8,764 miles. So we are encouraging, again, students, general public, whoever wants to participate, to either study about science or get fit. And for every minute they do that, they get a mile on this journey. And at every 60 miles or minutes, they unlock a little waypoint. And so you'll find out where you are and a little science snippet, a little health snippet, and maybe a little history snippet about that. So that one is just starting, and we'll see how that goes. And okay, selfishly, hang on a second, I just have to tell a little tale on myself. Selfishly, I wanted to do this Get Fit thing because my legs cramped every night when I went to sleep. So I need to get more in physical shape. And we're actually doing that as a part of the community events. And I actually am talking to a group of teens at a local library this Saturday. And we're going to be talking to them and then doing a Zumba class afterwards. So that's kind of fun. And then other than that, I'm just going to schools, and we got a great spread in the newspaper 2 Sundays ago, and I've been just got a radio interview tomorrow, and we're on a couple of TV channels. And my team is, they did a Facebook, so that little image of the seal on there is from one of their Facebook posts.
Alex, this is Janet. One of the questions that we've gotten from the newer alumni or newer teachers going out is that connection with the media and how you do that. So are these, what's your approach? Have you been just calling them up or sending them press releases? How have you been contacting the media?
Actually, that, luckily I have a person who is a volunteer who's helping me do that. He used to be a marketer, and so we wrote press releases for all of the activities we're doing. And we're just, I guess we're finding there's a fine line between being persistent and pushy, but you just have to keep after it. It has been a lot harder, a lot more difficult than I thought, but this year we're getting, I guess, more print because of our persistence with this. But it's just, you can't do it once. You have to, contact them 3 or 4 times with what I'm finding. So if there's, a friend of yours who can help with that, or maybe the secretary, at the school, if you can whip something up, and just, we have a list of people who we wanted to contact, and we'll contact them initially. We'll get some hits on some. We'll go back and contact them again. But it definitely does take some time. And with this being my second time out, we definitely contacted the people we contacted before. Sometimes it hit and sometimes it didn't. So we're just I mean, you never can tell.
Right. No, that's good. And then I was going to say, for those of you that are interested, I'm sure Alex would share, examples of the press releases if you need a good example.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. Are you done?
Yes.
Okay. So the next person was Brian DuBay, but he's not with us today. And is that everybody on the phone and everybody in virtual land, Sarah?
It is, other than alumni.
Okay. So I'll let you lead the alumni one here for just a moment because I can't see what's on that.
No worries. So we've got a couple of alumni. Brian isn't here, but we have Alex and John and Michelle. And so we'll actually go from Michelle first, and then John, and then back to Alex for some of her advice as an alumni, and then we'll break for questions too. So we've got a little bit of time here, so I'll turn it over to Michelle if she's available.
Can you hear me? Hopefully I'm on okay right now. It's so exciting to get to hear about everyone's adventures and upcoming expeditions. And the thing that I wished I had done the most was practiced everything. I know that Janet and Sarah told you this at the orientation, but really making sure you feel really comfortable with how to create your posts. I know when I went out, I felt like before I left, my posts had to be really meaningful, and so I kept waiting for something really exciting to happen to make that post, say my team coming to visit the school or setting up Polar Club or something. And in retrospect, I wish I had just posted about anything so that when I was out in the field, it was really easy. Same goes with iMovie and anything else that you need to do, just making sure you're practiced beforehand. And also collecting stories and writing journals ahead of time so that when you're out in the field and you have a really big night and you don't want to post something, you could just pull from something you've already done. I know how hard it is to do that on top of teaching, but really taking the time ahead of time makes a big difference. It sounds like everyone already knows their research teams, but I really was happy that I stayed with my research teams. Sorry, my daughter's crying. But I was really happy I got to know them in advance, and I even stayed at one of their houses, which I felt kind of awkward about at first, but once we were out in the field, I went to him all the time because I felt closer with him. So just bridging that awkward gap of getting to know someone fast, it really makes a difference. And this is probably an experience, well, this is an experience that's going to change your life. Just stay open-minded and curious and take every little piece of the experience and hold on to it, because it's amazing how long those experiences last, not just within your classroom, but I'm still in touch with the researchers and I still use all my all the experiences much more than I thought I would. So soak it all in is my last words of wisdom. Thanks, Michelle.
Excellent.
Go ahead.
And I was just going to say I'm so excited to have the next generation of polar scientists sitting in this webinar with us today. Girl.
We'll have to have her add on some words in a few years.
Words of advice. Yeah, exactly. All right. Go ahead, Sarah.
Well, I think what we'll do is maybe go through slides here. We'll go to John next, and then after that we can let it open for questions to alumni or to us or to Elaine, that whole thing. I think I heard Elaine pipe back in on the phone. I'm guessing that was her coming back in. But I'll turn it over.
Yes, I came back in. My cat hung up my phone.
Nice. All right, well, I'll turn it over to John.
Okay, thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Michelle, what a cutie pie she is. Congratulations on that and everything. Sounds like you're having a good time. Hey, for my slide, I just tried to keep it simple because I knew everybody else would cover all the really important things. But you know what, you guys, this whole class, you guys are really rocking this. You are doing so many things and plugging in so many places. It's just very exciting for all of us to watch this and learn from you, and you know, get reinvigorated about getting out and doing some new things ourselves. So congratulations already to all of you. I can't believe all the experiences you're going to have. You know, I think for me, you know, we could talk about a lot of things, but I go back to our class back in Fairbanks, and I talked about journaling. And for me, that really is the backbone, because that was the consistent thing that really kept me connected. And it connected me to the science, it connected me to the team, and it connected me to the public and the students and everybody else who was following along. So really, you guys, a lot of you seem to be so structured and so busy with your ideas and your programs that you're doing. That's fantastic. But don't forget that when you do sit down and write your journals, you know, it's your story. It's a progressive story that you're telling. And you've got to tell it from your perspective. And you've got to, you know, have fun with it and be light with it and be educational with it and be very personal with it at the same time. But do not forget that, you know, people are following and wanting to know what is happening to you, you know, and how you're changing, and some of the questions that you're having that you can throw out to people. And they really do enjoy sort of living vicariously through you. So don't ever feel like you're, you know, there's two subjects that are too small to talk about, or there's, you know, anything that's just not that important. Somebody out there is waiting to learn, and somebody out there is extremely happy for you and to go along with you on this expedition. So really, take your time, don't get too overwhelmed, and when you can write your journals, and obviously be as consistent as you can, make sure that you're speaking from your own perspective and really telling your story.
Wow, thanks, John. That was great, and I really liked the piece you mentioned about sharing the questions that you have. So your journals don't have to be, you know, all-knowing. They can be parts that you've learned and things you're now questioning. So it's a really good part to put out there. Thanks for that. And I'm going to turn it over to Alex to put her alumni hat on and share a little more with us.
All right. Well, it's not a great place to follow with what Michelle and John said, because they really, I mean, they said they had some great advice. I mean, absolutely great advice. But one thing I could add is I noticed on our team there's a lot of personalities. There's a lot of differing personalities. And the biggest thing I could add to that would be a team player. The scientists are out there. They've got their job to do. We're PolarTREC teachers. We've got our job to do. So just be kind of cognizant of that. And sometimes people get frustrated or you know, hurried, and you know, and that's part of it. But you know, as John and both Michelle said, you know, basically bridge the gap. We are out there, you know, having an amazing, literally life-changing experience, and definitely people want to travel with us virtually. So bridging that gap, not only between the personal, but also the science. And I can hear you and our Janet and Sarah practice, practice, practice. So that is so true, and Michelle said it too. Just don't get caught in the storm. Be prepared, because there is a lot going on out there. But really take the time to take it in yourself, you know, and have fun and breathe. It'll be a whirlwind out there. Take it all in and just with a smile on your face and enjoy it.
Thanks, Alex. I am happy I live in a beautiful place up here in Alaska, but I wish I could go with all of you in your suitcases. I know Elaine would not like that given the weight limit, I suppose, on the individual bags, but I wish I could sneak in there with all of you. So at this point, we'll open it up for questions, and these can be questions to one another or to alumni or to Janet and I, whatever you guys need. And it looks like Dominique already has her hand up. You guys can certainly use that little hand button if you're online, or if you're on the phone, just sort of chime in. Just let us know. Just interrupt. That would be the easiest way for you guys to sort of quote unquote put your hand up. But Dominique, go ahead. I'll turn my mic off.
So I'm not really sure who to direct this question to, but has anybody run into issues of posting pictures of your students or of public on the website? Do I need to be getting photo release forms from anybody? I know we normally do that for my work, but I wasn't sure if I could do this, like take pictures of my outreach event and then post them right on PolarTREC's website.
It's a great question, and Michelle might have a comment to that in a second too. Usually what we do is have you rely on your, basically your school's statement on photos of kids. So for you guys, it sounds like your museum does have some sort of a statement, and maybe you have people sign stuff. So maybe if it's part of a sign-in to an event that you're doing, Dominique, it's included in there. Then I'm going to turn it over to Michelle and Alex, and I bet Janet will chime in if she's able to listen. She had to go into her student's school, so she's probably listening and wants to respond too. I'll turn it over to Michelle.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, for visiting teachers, they would know about the photo release. Like when you come to visit me, I can query that up with you. But one thing I did when I went into other schools was I took pictures so that I had someone take a picture of me with all the kids' backs of their heads, so I could still have those outreach photos, but none of their faces were showing, and that really made me feel safe because you couldn't tell who was who. So that's another way around it.
Go ahead.
This is Janet.
Go ahead.
So depending on where you have those outreach activities, if they're in a public place, then it doesn't matter. If you're in a public place, then you can post whatever pictures of anybody that you want to. But that being said, so I did walk into the conversation. That was Dominique that had asked the question?
Yes.
Yeah, so Dominique, you know, for the museum, I would just go with what I'm sure you have a policy on it, and like Sarah suggested, probably your safest thing is to have everybody sign in. That's what the museum does up at UAF. They have a little piece of paper that just basically, if they take your picture, they'll go right up to you right afterwards, like the photographer carries that with them, and they'll give it to you and say, hey, I just took your picture, will you sign this photo release of it? So and then I think there's also when you actually sign into the museum, that's like their second step, but when you sign in and pay your entrance fee to the museum, you're also waiving your rights at that time. It's part of the small print that most people probably don't read.
All right, and I'll turn it over to Alex.
Hey, Dominique. What I did my first year was I brought photo releases, you know, or sent them out beforehand and had them all sign it. This year, what I did, and it's working so much better, is I send them the information and I say, can you take pictures and send me the pictures of the children that can go in my journal if we so choose. And so that has been really a time saver for me. So I don't have to get it so early that they have to go out and sign the information. So the teachers actually know now what student can be pictured, and if we do that, then they're sending me the pictures, and then they know if they send it to me, it could be posted.
Museum to museum.
Does that all help you, Dominique?
Lucy? Yep.
Sarah, we lost track of where the people that aren't on the computer are not following on the chat, so we aren't sure where you are.
All right, sorry, I had to turn Lucy's mic off for just a second. I was just going to see if Lucy was commenting on that or going to the next question. We're just here answering questions, so I wanted to let people who have their hand up go through. And the folks who are on the phone, I mentioned if you want, just absolutely talk right over us. That's the best way for you guys to interrupt. So Lucy, I turned your mic back on, so go right ahead.
My question was about outreach ideas for smaller kids. Like I was thinking blubber gloves, but do you have any other suggestions for like second graders?
Thanks. I'll leave it open and see if folks are kind of putting their hand up online here. If anybody on the phone wants to chime in, you're welcome to. I'll give people a chance to think for a minute. All right, so Dominique, you have your hand up. I'll turn off my mic so you can talk.
Okay, Lucy, I don't know how much time you have with your second graders, but for summer camp, when we have the younger kids, we do a couple different activities. One of them, they build a glacier out of flubber, like the borax and white glue stuff, and we just set it on a very shallowly inclined plane. And then they take time, and they make little clay trees and little clay rocks and stuff, and they line their inclined plane. And then they come back at different intervals during the day to measure how far it's gone. And then they make big ice cubes and like cut off old yogurt cups, and they can time how long it takes for those to melt in different temperature water. And then the fun treat that they get to do for like polar days, we make glacier snacks with like blue Jello and Oreo cookies and stuff, and talk about what's included in glaciers and how rocks and air bubbles and stuff get trapped in there. And those are all good for the younger kids.
Have a good evening. Well, thanks for that, Dominique.
She said that when she...
And I'll go to Michelle.
Yeah, just to add on a few more ideas, the ECW gear is a really big hit with the little kids. I know I went to a few elementary schools and they loved that. The other thing I did, which wasn't too hands-on, but I thought it pushed into a good misconception, is I had them sort which animals belong in the Arctic versus the Antarctic, since that's a really big misconception with kids. And the last thing I did was at the beginning of my speech, I would put a thermometer in a glove, and I would ask the kids what they think the temperature would be like in 10 or 15, 20, 30 minutes, because that was another thing that they didn't understand was insulation, but that was because that aligned with those middle school students' science, or elementary school students' science standards. But those are some other ideas.
Great idea. Go ahead, John.
The only thing that I've done, and I don't work with that small of children most of the time, but in a couple of cases that I have worked with small groups of young children like that, I've taken along a couple of books you know, the lost seal and a few other things that have been put out on Antarctic work. And I'll read to them, and we'll sit and read and talk and ask questions and that type of thing too. And the little kids seem to like that.
Yeah, this is Janet. That's a good idea. There's Lisa Seth often did that. She did that at orientation, and she would do pre-recorded book readings. Just kind of pick her favorite Antarctic books or you know, polar books, I guess, and would read them, make them a little video, and then send them off to classrooms, and then they could read the book along with her or whatever. So there's a lot of different iterations of that book idea.
Good, and Alex just put into the chat box, it says, bring objects. It's pretty in line with what you guys are saying. Any other questions out there? Michelle has one more piece of advice. Go ahead.
All right, I forgot to say this earlier, but one thing I wished I had done better was really set up communications with the teacher at my school so that when I was gone, someone really knew how to use the webinar technology. They've practiced with me. They were really comfortable with the journals. So making sure that you have a teacher back at school or someone back at the museum that knows everything really sets you up for success.
Your brain knows. And you can figure it out.
All right. So I think that probably wraps it up for questions and what people need. We do have some questions for individuals that we can probably deal with over email in the next couple of days. We're certainly going to be setting up some more pre-field phone calls for Yamini and for Armando. And I see that Jillian does have a question. How do we practice a webinar? So Jillian, I'll try and answer it and let me know if I've answered your question correctly. But you can go through all, let's say you have an IT person you want to connect with at school and make sure they can do it. You can go through all the instructions that are in your teacher manual. It's the same thing that gets sent out to folks when they register. And you can go through all the way into signing into this very room, and there is a slide that will show that says you've made it to the Polar Connect event room. So you can go through that whole process, and if there's steps that you need us to be a part of, that's totally fine. We can do kind of a test webinar where we're on the other end. We can test sound. Just let us know when that's scheduled. Does that answer the question? All right, she said yes. Yeah, we're totally available to help out your IT folks if you want to schedule something with us for webinars. Janet, any other things that you want to bring up while we've got folks on the phone, or are we good?
No, I think we're good. It was great to hear what everybody's doing, and like Sarah said, there's a couple of you that we need to touch base with to find out some particulars, but I think otherwise you're all doing pretty good, and you know, we're around, so let us know if something comes up. Stay on top of what's happening with paperwork and tickets and PQs and all that stuff, because you can't go to Antarctica if none of that's happening. So that's probably one of the top things that's on everybody's list that they need to work on here soon. So. But that was good. It was great, and I really appreciate John and Michelle and Alex taking the time to join us again and sharing your advice.
Yeah, Elaine, anything else you'd like to say while you're out there, Elaine?
I don't have anything to add, but it's pretty exciting to hear all of this.
Perfect, thanks. Well, folks, we'll have this webinar archived if anybody needs it for any particular points, and just email us anytime with questions about how to journal or what comes up next, and we're always available. So you'll hear from us, so we hope that we hear from you. And we'll talk soon. Michelle just said, I'm so excited for you all. Dominique, see you soon, and see the rest of you soon virtually. So have a great rest of your evening, and let us know if you guys need anything.
Yep. Yes, thank you all, and enjoy yourselves immensely.
I will.
Hey, Sarah?
Yeah.
Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
Is Sarah, you still there? This is Jillian.
Hey, this is Sarah. What's up, Jillian?
I just wanted to make sure, I'm so sorry. I've got a lot of my documentation done as far as writing it all out. I just haven't listed it yet.
Sounds good. That's usually what the case is. So it's best if you can get them uploaded, and then if we need to help you with any of it or whatever, in terms of having, like, once we review it, if there's pieces that we can help with, that'll help us help you.
Thank you so much, and I'm sorry. The fine print has been my nemesis this year.
All right.
So thank you. I hope to have it all up this week before Saturday, but because I'm leaving, I'm massive fundraisers for like my oceanography club, all that stuff this week. So it's kind of like I'm being tag teamed. It's interesting. It's interesting. Oh, and Janet, are you still on the line?
I still am. I'm listening away.
I just got confirmation, yesterday was Monday, that yes, they will let me take personal leave.
Oh, yay. Yay, yay, yay.
Oh, good.
I'm very excited about that, beyond words.
Yeah.
So just to let you know, thank you guys for your flexibility. You know, my heart and everything is in the right spot, but sometimes I just get a sorry. But I'm really excited, and we'll send you total pictures of Mindy and I and the kids on Saturday at our big event.
Yeah, that will be fantastic. That will be a great event. Looking forward to it.
Okay, and again, I'm sorry for not getting the paper in working yet.
That's all right.
Okay, you guys have a great afternoon, and I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye, Jillian.
Bye.
Is everybody else gone, Sarah?
No, lots of people still here if anybody has any questions, but they're signing off.
Can I ask my question about shipping expenses?
Yeah, go ahead, Dominique. What do you want to send?
Yes, go ahead.
So I was talking with my researcher, Frank, and he recommended shipping things ahead of time that I plan to use on the ship that I can't really pack down, like, you know, styrofoam cups for if we do like a deep dive thing, or any other like sciencey supplies, books, and office supplies that I want to bring. And I was just wondering if PolarTREC covers the cost of me shipping that equipment to the port to have it shipped down to the research vessel, or if that will be my own expense.
No, we'll cover it. It will be part of miscellaneous expenses. So, but it will probably come out. I'm having Leslie in our office do a TA for travel authorization for all the Antarctica people. So it'll probably be reimbursable if that's okay. If you can wait to get paid for when you come back from Antarctica. If not, you could probably send me the slips and we get you paid, but our preference is to put them under the TA.
I think reimbursing should be fine. I just have to send it in October, so it would be a while until I come back from my trip in May. Is that a receipt that I should send you earlier, or wait until I'm completely done with the expedition?
Yeah, that is a good question. Actually, why don't you, because of the duration, why don't you send it to us? Just send it to Arcus just soon after you ship it. So we'll deal with it that way.
Thank you.
And if something changes or whatever, I'll let you know by email. But yeah, I think because of when you're coming back, because of not just that, the timing of the grant and all that other stuff and stuff. So yeah, you should probably do it before.
Okay, thank you ladies very much. Have a good rest of your day.
All right. Seems like we've got things covered. So I'm going to close everything off. All right. Dominique just left.
All right. Well, thanks, Sarah, and I'll chat with you tomorrow.
Yep, bye.
Oh, hello, Lando.
He says bye.
Hello. She's waving her paw. Say hello.
All right. Bye, Sarah.